Hi and welcome to the Nurture for Kids online masterclass. It's so lovely to have you connect in with me, and I know that we're going to get some really good stuff done in the next hour and a half. So thank you to all those guys that have connected in. So I'm Zoe from The Whisper Tree. The Whisper Tree is my business that I run. I was teaching in schools and secondary and primary schools. I was like a mainstream teacher in the UK. And this kind of all stopped a few years ago when well, the first thing that happened was I noticed my son was having a lot of time off school. He kept complaining of tummy aches and headaches and things like that, and not wanting to go in school. And we couldn't really get to the bottom of it at first. And then we realised that there was a bit of a pattern to it. It seemed to be every Friday that he was sort of saying, "Yeah, I've got tummy ache" and whatnot. And eventually we got to the bottom of it and found out that he was really anxious about his PE lessons. Bless him. So. At the time, although I was teaching in schools, I was very interested on a personal level with yoga, meditation, visualization, all those sorts of things. And I knew how much they were benefiting me on a personal level. And I thought to myself, well, if I can find a way to teach him some of these techniques, I'm sure he's going to be able to benefit as well. And this was the difficulty at first, was finding the way and the words to teach him these concepts. But I managed to find a way, and within about 3-4 months, he'd really turned the situation around and was starting to go back in school quite happily, and still is now. He occasionally has the odd wobble, but generally he's quite happy to go in. No more, he deals with his worry and his anxiety in a much stronger and better way. So this is what kind of triggered these Nurture for Kids workshops. This was the start of it, because then and at the time and since then I'd noticed there were a lot of children, and I could probably honestly say more and more children in schools that are struggling and with anxiety, strong emotions like anger, might be a bit hyperactive, not getting sleep at night, or just simply school refusal, like my son was getting to that point. So I approached my head and I said, look, I can really help these children. I feel I really can. Would you mind if I set up some sort of Nurture for Kids sort of sessions before school? So we did. We had a small group and I worked with them. And I always remember this one girl who, for about 6 months, her mum was really struggling to get her in. She just couldn't get her into the actual school. She'd just be crying on the playground. And I worked with her for about 6 months, and within that time she totally turned the situation around. And I still hear from her now, which is lovely. And she's in a secondary school and she's doing really well and really blossoming and flourishing. So that's always nice to hear, from pupils like that, or children that I've helped. So this workshop and helping my son really inspired me to start setting up different Nurture for Kids workshops in different schools with children who are struggling with anxiety and things like that. And this progressed to sort of helping parents and families privately. And now I've started these online masterclasses to help parents and teachers support their children in a different and a more unique way. So the Whisper Tree mission statement, it's, we are dedicated to sowing the seeds of inner wisdom to adults as well as children. We want to empower people really to, help their family unit, help themselves, help their children. Because I strongly feel, and from what I've experienced, that you can teach your child something one day, and as a teacher, you teach your class something one day, by the next day or even that evening they've totally forgotten it. So to have the parents on board is absolutely paramount to the success of these techniques and to creating that sustainable change, because we don't just want a quick fix. We want this to be lifelong sustainable change. So also at the Whisper Tree, we offer a whole range of workshops, group meditation classes and individual healing sessions. So it's just a little bit about me and my background, so you know where I'm coming from. So, when we look at it, on face value, you know, children have heaps of pressure, tons of pressure on them, whether it comes from SAT, school expectation, homework. You know, we're so busy. Our children go to lots and lots of clubs straight after school, and in school every minute is accounted for. It's incredible. There is no time just to kind of go inwards a little bit, still ourselves and chill out. That just does not happen at school. You know, and this online masterclass and the way I run my workshops privately is that I give these tools and these coping strategies so that teachers, parents, carers can kind of support their child in a more unique way so that they can start to approach life in a more balanced and calmer way. So, and as I explained before, I've been sort of developing these tools and techniques over quite a few years now, and I've seen many children and been able to help them, which is such a privilege. You know, I feel so fortunate and blessed that I can do that for other parents and children and help them on an emotional level. Okay, so what we're going to do now, before we go into the techniques themselves, I'm just going to run you through the structure of the class so you know where you are. You know, I love PowerPoint. I always use PowerPoint. I'm a bit of a PowerPoint queen. It just helps me structure myself and my thoughts. So I thought that I'd do the same for you. Obviously, you can pause this at any point, take notes, you know, listen to it again, anything you don't understand. So first of all, we're going to have a bit of an introduction to energy. It's a bit of a background, which will hopefully deepen your understanding as to why these techniques work in the way that they do. The techniques that I'm actually going to be teaching you, that you can then go on to teach your child or children, are meditation, visualization procedures, and breathing techniques. And I'm going to give you specific ways in which you can introduce them to children and make them fun and engaging, because that's half the battle. I'm going to be talking to you about how you can create a sacred or special space, which I feel is very important as well, especially if you're going to get into meditation. And then I'm going to be going through some of my favourite resources, books that I've used, any sort of tools that I've used with children. Okay. So let's go into, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to energy now, okay? And as I said, this is as deep as I'm going to get. I can go really deep, but I think this is, you know, to all intents and purposes, this is as far as we need to go today with the online masterclass. So first of all, what you need to be aware of is that everyone and everything that's living and breathing on our planet is made or has an energy, and also our thoughts and our feelings have an energy. They're made of energy. Now, this is not just me sounding like I'm in woo-woo land. Scientists of, you know, all over the world are very, very aware of this. They're very aware of what they call the Earth's force field, electromagnetic force field. They are aware that our bodies are made up of the same force field, and also they've managed to prove that our thoughts and feelings have the same energies, made up of the same stuff, okay? Now, that's really important that you remember that, okay? Now, what we need to think of is that we have that on average, the average person per day has between 50 and 70,000 thoughts in a day. And I always think to myself, my goodness, what are we thinking of? Because that is a lot of thoughts. But what we need to think of now, because we know that these thoughts and these feelings have an energy, we need to say to ourselves, are these thoughts, so many of these thoughts, are they negative or positive? And you probably, if you start to really be honest with yourself, you're probably finding that you're having a lot of negative thoughts within one day, okay? But what we need to be aware of is that what happens is the negative thought pops into our head, and then it triggers off a feeling within us. And before we know it, we're in this kind of downward spiral of negativity, which feels very real for us. But it's very, very hard to break out of this. Now, I know many adults, including myself, that do struggle with this. And also children, you will find, will struggle with this. You know, maybe not all of them to that degree, but at some point in their lives, they are going to be struggling in this way. Okay, now we know, or I hope that you do know and you are aware that we react according to how we're feeling and how we're thinking. Obviously we do. This often governs our behaviour. And what we do need to be aware of as well is that we need to be aware of the impact of our negative thoughts and feelings. Because they have this energy, they will be impacting on our bodies. And this is very much the kind of metaphysical aspects to disease. If you look up Louise Hayes, an American lady who healed herself from cancer. She's an incredible lady. She works with affirmations, positive statements, and has helped many people. But she is very aware, as are other scientists, many people, inspirational speakers. We are aware that our thoughts and feelings are very powerful. They have an energy and they impact on our cells, sometimes eventually leading to some sort of physical conditions, but also they will be impacting on other people in our environment. Okay, and that's really, really important that we understand that. Okay. So, as I said, it will impact, these sorts of feelings will impact on others. We don't even need to be saying anything unkind to them. They will be aware of it. They might not be aware that it's coming from us, but they will be aware. They will probably even start to feel a bit worried or angry or anxious themselves if they're picking up on other people. It's like when you go into a room or another building, you suddenly start to feel a bit anxious or worried, or it's because you're just picking up on the energy of other people's thoughts and feelings. That's all that's going on. So what's really, really important here and essential is that we are aware how we are feeling at any point in time. If we're aware how we're feeling, we're going to be aware of how we're behaving and reacting to others, but also we're going to be aware if we're picking up on other people's stuff. Because if we're feeling fine and then all of a sudden we go somewhere and we're not, or we're with someone joins us, and we don't suddenly feel okay, we know that we're simply picking up on their thoughts and their feelings, okay? So again, can't emphasize enough the importance of this awareness, okay? And I guess it's a type of mindfulness as well. Now, there are lots of ways, and some of these ways I'm going to be talking about in this online masterclass as to how we can become more aware of our thoughts and feelings, and how we can help ourselves when we're in these downward spirals, and how we can then go on to support our children and other family members with these techniques. Okay, so the first technique that I'm going to go into is meditation. Now, meditation I find is hugely beneficial. Scientists are well aware of the many benefits to meditation. It's brilliant for our overall health and well-being. It teaches us to go within ourselves, to still ourselves, and just to help us harness our thoughts. So it's a brilliant way to start the day or end the day with meditation. I've just listed here a few of the benefits. So it helps to kind of create this connection to our inner world. It can help shift our perception around situations, helps with emotional balancing, it helps with focusing, concentration. It will ultimately help with relationships because it's making us aware of how we are feeling and thinking, and helps us to harness our negative thoughts to shift them more into a positive thoughts and feelings. So there's many benefits to meditation. I could go on for a long time about how many, but you just need to know that. I've got a lovely little quote there from Dalai Lama on one of the pictures. It said, if every 8-year-old in the world is taught meditation, we will eliminate violence from the world within 1 generation. Now that's a huge statement, but one that I totally believe in, absolutely and totally believe in. And I think some people may disagree with me, but I don't always feel that it's necessary to kind of sit down and have some sort of formal meditative practice or meditation practice. I do meditate myself first thing in the morning and sometimes last thing at night, but I feel that there are many activities that we can do during the day for ourselves with our children that are meditative by nature. So what I mean by these are things like walking in nature, jogging, swimming, knitting, colouring in, brilliant. Gardening, baking, cooking, knitting, any of these things. Even watching birds feeding in the garden, or leaves swirling in the wind. Any of those things are very, very stilling for us and very good for us. And because like I said, in schools every moment is accounted for. So I think it's very difficult for children to just find that stillness and just connect in, just switch off for a moment. So don't underestimate the importance of these activities. You know, this is really going to help your child to achieve that sense of stillness and just connect in a little bit. But as ever, there are lots of different ways. If you did want to go into a more formal practice of sitting down and meditating and, you know, doing some sort of visualization, there are a couple of specific tools or techniques rather that I've listed here that I think are really, really good for children as a way in. Now, this can be, you know, built into their bedtime routine. You know, and so that it can be done just before going to bed, and it will just help to calm them and still them. You know, I don't know anyone, and I know myself as a mother, I have zero time in the morning, you know, especially to sort of sit down with my children and do any of this. I would highly recommend that you start at night and build it into your bedtime routine or your child's bedtime routine. So the first thing is the mind jar. You may have seen these before. I know a lot of schools use them, but all you need is a clear jam jar, water, a couple of tablespoons of glitter, a bit of vegetable oil, and that's it really. You just pop your glitter in the jar, a bit of vegetable oil, fill it with water, screw on the lid tightly, and then you shake it up, and it's a bit like a snow globe, and you ask your child just to sit quietly and just watch the glitter settle. It's as simple as that, but I can guarantee by the time that most of that glitter is at the bottom of the jar, they are going to be in a different space, especially if they're focusing on it. It's very, very calming and focusing, and it's a great way to get into meditation. Or, you know, just use as a standalone if they're a bit upset or a bit hyperactive. You could even put a bit of relaxation music on for them. Another way in is candle gazing. So this is where you get a lit candle, and obviously don't leave your child alone with a lit candle, especially if you've got a younger child, but you could all sit round on the floor with a candle. I've done this quite a few times with my own children, and you just ask them to look into the flame, maybe play some music, soft music, and then just ask them what they saw in the flame. And again, it's just a meditative, you know, technique to just calm and still their minds and just focus them inwards a little bit. Even if you have a fire at home, a wood burner or whatever, you know, just ask them to look at the flame. Children love that, and just ask them, you know, what could you see in those flames? Okay, and you'll probably be surprised with some of the answers that you're going to get. Okay, I'm just going to talk you through a couple of meditations that I have used with classes, big classes of more primary age children. I would say that these are for primary age and slightly younger children. These scripts are quite kind of young. They're quite, not babyish, but they're definitely geared towards younger children. Now, I write my own meditations, which you know, you can absolutely do that. I do a whole workshop on that. But I'm just going to talk you through a couple of my favourite ones, ever so simple. And I think, like anything, if you are going to start this meditative practice or actual meditations with your children or even yourself, you know, only start off with a few minutes, especially for children, just a few minutes. They're not used to lying down, closing their eyes if they're not sleeping. You know, a lot of them are not. And this is what I came across and experienced as a teacher in schools. If they are struggling to be still, they're very fidgety or cannot close their eyes, and just get them to cuddle a soft toy or a blanket, something like that. And don't worry about their eyes not being closed. That will come. If they need to, that will come. It doesn't matter. It's just the fact that they're focusing to what you're saying. So, but just by starting off with a few minutes, you'll find will really, really help. And just aim to do this every night. Just build up slowly to once a day, or, you know, every evening. I don't expect anyone to go from nothing to everything and doing it every day. And I'd say the same for yourselves as well. Build up your practice to once a day. Don't leave it at once a week or once a month, because you might as well not bother. I know it sounds a bit harsh, but if you do regular, consistent practice, you will definitely see the benefits. If it's just going to be once a week or once a month, it's not worth it. You can play music like dolphin songs or whale sounds or sounds of the ocean are very relaxing, especially for children. You can also try the Relax Kids brand. They have loads and loads of meditations and meditative books and scripts for children. And they have lovely music as well to accompany that. I use some of these with my own scripts. So I'm going to go through these two meditations with you. So you'd get your child to be either lying comfortably or sitting comfortably, and they must be comfortable and warm. That's the main thing, and including yourself. I lie down in my bed when I meditate. I just love that. I feel more comfortable like that, and I think that's really important. Now for the starfish meditation, you ask them to close their eyes if they can, breathe in through their nose and out through their nose, and do that once more, breathing in through their nose and out through their nose. And then I want them to imagine that they're a starfish just on the bottom of the ocean, just drifting along with the water and the currents of the water. And as they look down, can they see their starfish body? What colour are they? Are they rough or are they smooth? Are they big or are they small? And just allow them to just gently drift along at the bottom of the ocean, backwards and forwards, and just let their bodies drift along with the current of the waves. And can they feel the soft sand beneath their starfish bodies? Just again, let's just drift along, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Can they hear the sounds of the waves? And can they hear the dolphin songs? Can they see the brightly coloured fish all around them? Now slowly open your eyes, wriggle your fingers and wriggle your toes. Okay, so that's the sort of thing that I would do. It was only a couple of minutes, and that's all you need, just to relax your child and just get them to focus within for a little while. So the Shining Star meditation is one that I love, and as I said, I have a Relax Kids CD with a version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on it, which is just gorgeous. And again, I get them to lie down in their beds, all comfortable. It's just something they could do just before they fall asleep. And you get them to, imagine they're outside, lying on the grass in the garden. It's night time and they're feeling safe and warm and comfortable. And as they look up in the night sky, they see the bright moon and the twinkling stars. And as they look up, they see the brightest, twinkliest star they've ever seen. And you ask them to pluck this star out of the sky and pop it in their pocket. And they'll actually probably physically do this. And then you say to them that this is a lucky star, and that every time they touch that star is going to be looking after them and making them safe and happy and warm and comfortable. So whenever they feel a little bit sad, they can just pop their hand in their pocket and just feel some of that shininess from the star, and just, and it's just, remember that it's just making them feel comfortable and warm and happy. Okay, so that's a couple of the meditations that I do with children. You can adapt the scripts, but that's the sort of thing that I will do, not any longer than that. If I can, I will play some sort of ocean sounds or relaxing music along with it. So the other thing that you can do is called rock and jelly. Children really, really love this. This is suitable for, I'd say, up to pre-teens. You basically get them to, and this is probably a precursor to the meditation, or it can be done as a standalone, but it's just to help relax the physical body. So you get them to lie on top of the bed and just lying completely flat, and get them to lift up one leg and just squeeze every muscle they can find in that leg. Then they drop it down and let it wibble wobble like jelly. Then they lift up the other leg, do the same thing, and then drop it down like jelly. Lift up their arm, tense all the muscles, and when they touch their arms or their legs, it feels like rock. That's the idea. And then they relax it, let it drop like jelly, and then you do the same with the other arm. Okay, and this is a really, really good way just to relax the physical body and get ready for meditation. Okay, so that was our meditative technique. So hopefully you'll feel confident enough to start having a go with those. And as I said, relax kids do lots of things. Just a few minutes that you could use in your class if you're a teacher, or at home with your children. Highly recommend that resource. So the next big sort of technique that I tend to use with children is breathing activities or breathing techniques. Do not, I always say this to my clients, my parents and teachers that come to see me, do not underestimate the power of the breath. Breath is hugely powerful. And this is why things like yoga really work if you're, moving in conjunction with your in and out breath. And I use breath in all sorts of different ways. I do use it a little bit with myself, although I have other techniques that I use now for myself, which I find hugely powerful as well. Now, any of these breathing activities that I'm about to teach you are suitable for any age, including adults. What I didn't mention at the beginning is any of these techniques, and I'm hoping that you're taking them on board. Anything you can miss, obviously, anything that you miss, you can go back and listen to. But what I would recommend is that you practice these techniques on yourself so that you start to see how they can benefit you. That will give you the confidence and the momentum, as it were, to kind of carry on using them and then teach them to your child, because it's like you're kind of walking your talk, aren't you? You're saying, look, this has really helped me, try this. And your child will feel that, he or she will feel that your confidence after you've been using them, so I highly recommend, for the success of these techniques, that you practice them and use them on yourself regularly. So breathing helps to relax the body in preparation for meditation, and it absolutely calms the mind, helps to focus. But it's also great, they're also great for a child who's very anxious, upset, or cannot sleep. And I've used them a lot, especially on my own son, and with children in different schools that I've been in, especially when they're upset. It does really, really help. So I've got a few here. The first one is what I call balloon breathing. Now, this is a lovely fun one. Children love it, but adults can absolutely use this as well. It can be done at school. No one would know that the child was doing it, which I think is really cool. So what you do is you just say to them, look, let's just pretend that you have a balloon in your tummy, and you're going to blow the balloon up by breathing in and out through your nose. So they put their hands flat on their tummies. For older children, you could talk about the middle fingertips touching. For younger children, just get them to put their hands on their tummies. That's all they need to do. They can lie down or they can sit up for this one. And they blow in, so they breathe in through their noses and they bring the air down into their tummies. And as they breathe in, they should feel their hands moving apart, so those fingertips moving apart. As they breathe out, say to them, your balloon is going to deflate now and your tummy is going to go flat, so your fingers or hands will move back towards each other again. Okay, and you just repeat this 3 or 4 times and you'll find that they'll really focus on this one. They absolutely love this one, children. Now, the next one is hand breathing. So again, this can be done anywhere. So this is a really good one. You have all that you need to do this. So you just ask your child to spread out their fingers, and with their other hand, with their pointy finger, they're going to trace the outline of their fingers as they breathe. So you start at the base of your thumb and you breathe in through the nose to the top of the thumb, and then breathe out through the nose to the bottom of the thumb. Breathe in, top of the pointy finger, breathe out to the bottom of the pointy finger. Breathe in, top of the middle finger, breathe out to the bottom of the middle finger. Breathe in, top of the ring finger, breathe out to the bottom of the ring finger, and breathe in, top of the little finger, breathe out to the bottom of the baby finger or little finger. And that's all you need to do. By the time they get to the base of the little finger, the baby finger, they will have calmed down. they're going to be in a much better space, more focused. Okay, so that's a really good one. They could just, if you think about it, they could do that under their desk. No, you know, no one would know they're doing it, you know, when they're in class. So it's a really, really good one if they're getting a bit anxious or whatever. 4-part breathing. I would say this is for older children. You would definitely have to practice this yourselves first to really get your head around it. It's not hard, but just to understand the speed at which you go and how to do it. It's a rhythmic breathing, which again will just create that space between all that worry and that downward spiral of negative thoughts and feelings, and your kind of real self. You know, this is how I see it. But it will just create that gap, and that's enough. That's all you need, just to calm yourselves down, or calm, you know, your children down. So we're going to breathe again in and out through the nose to the count of 4. Okay, so breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath for 4, 2, 3, 4, and breathing out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath for 4, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out for 4, 2, 3, 4. And then just allow the breath to kind of go back to normal again. Okay, so with any of these, you only need to do them about 3 or 4 times, always through the nose, in and out through the nose. And you will see, the more you practice it, the more effective they become. The other thing that you can do is just, if you've got a younger child, just get them to place an object. I mean, I suppose you could even do it for older children as well, but they just lie down, and they have something on their tummy, and they just practice breathing in and out through their nose, and do belly breathing, you know, so they bring the air into their tummy, so they rise as they breathe in and lowers as they breathe out, and they can actually see the object on their tummy move, you know, rising up and lowering, which they love. And then they could do the same on their chest and try and get the air into their chest. And again, it's just a focusing activity. Okay, so they are our breathing activities. So now we're going to go on to the last technique, which is visualization procedures. I use this a lot, not necessarily these specific procedures that I'm going to show you, but I use visualization on a daily basis for myself, especially when I'm feeling negative or worried, you know, anxious, any of those sorts of things. And it is hugely powerful again, you know, in helping me, you know, and I just feel I often don't really need to talk to anyone about anything, because I just feel I can sort myself out now, you know, with this power of visualization. And I'll just go, you know, talk to you a little bit about it. You know, visualization is powerful because we're using our imagination, and our imagination powers our thoughts. And again, if you could remember when at the beginning I spoke about how powerful our thoughts are and our feelings, and that they have this energy. Well, our imaginations have this energy that powers our thoughts. Our imagination is a very, very powerful tool. Children especially know how to, you know, they work with their imaginations in probably a lot more of a positive way than adults tend to do, you know, and they're also encouraged to do so at school as well, which is great. You know, so children tend to love visualization. You know, we as adults use our imagination a lot, but unfortunately it's often in a negative way. If you think about it, we often think of the worst case scenario when we have a thought that pops into our head. You know, the whole scenario is created for us, and you know, as I said, it's kind of creating our reality. You know, we create our reality through our thoughts and our feelings. If you've heard of the concept, the law of attraction, you know, we're creating this reality, and we're creating more of the same with the things that we're thinking about and feeling, you know, on a day-to-day basis. And if a lot of those are negative, then it's really not going to help the cause. So we have to, it's about finding ways to kind of you know, counterbalance this. And if we can teach children how to visualize, that, you know, it's very, very powerful for them, as it can be for ourselves. Okay, so let's go on to our first procedure, our first visualization procedure. Now this is suitable, as I put here, suitable for younger children, particularly the girls. So, you know, this one is called fairy or angel dust. Really, really simple. You can even have a little pouch or a little bottle full of glittery powder and say that, you know, that just to remind them of what you're trying to achieve here. And obviously you don't want them sprinkling this all over the place, but they can imagine and pretend to be sprinkling this dust all over themselves, and you say to them, this is magical dust, this is going to help you, it's going to help you feel safe, it's going to protect you, it's going to make you feel happy and warm and comfortable, and talk to them like that, so that they start to get that feeling of being protected and warm and safe and happy within themselves. And they can just start to do that visualization, you know, is just say, okay, let's sprinkle some of that fairy dust, that angel dust all over ourselves, you know, and then just ask them how it felt afterwards, just that they start to connect in with what they're trying to achieve. So that's the fairy dust one. Then we have the magic cloak of protection. Now this is suitable for any age, but if you have younger children, I would highly recommend that you make them or give them some sort of cloth, or even a cloak, even better, or, you know, or a cloth that they can make into a cloak, and something quite particular, like, you know, that's quite soft or has, you know, stars in it, that looks quite magical, that looks a bit different. You know, my sons had this kind of bright blue little bit of blanket with stars on it, and they'd often tie it around them and use it as a cloak. You know, children love clothes, and I think adults do as well. I mean, they come in the shape of a soft blanket. I absolutely love my blankets, but when I put it around me, it feels comfortable, it feels warm, doesn't it, and soft and gentle against our skin, and it's nurturing, and that is the feel that we want to create. So you can absolutely give them a cloak and say to them, this is a magic cloak, and again, it's going to make you feel comfortable and safe and warm and happy. But for older children, they can have a visualization where they see a shimmering, shining cloak, a magical cloak, like a Merlin's cloak or something, that they put over their shoulders, and you say to them, does it feel heavy? Does it feel soft? Does it feel powerful? How does it feel? So they can start to connect in, and just say to them, you know, every time you put this cloak on, just tune into these feelings of feeling safe and protected. You know, all it is just using your imagination in a slightly different way. So the last procedure is my optical calcite procedure. Now I would say this is from kind of 6. I mean, your child may prove me wrong. You might be able to do this with younger children. But I feel that the older children really benefit from this. And it does seem to be very popular with the boys, this procedure. So it's a bit like, it's very what I call a shamanic procedure. It's very kind of warrior-like and strong. It has this strong feeling to it. There's a little picture, you can kind of see the corner of an optical calcite here on the photo below the cloak. So this is a bit of crystal. So crystals have a high frequency energy to them. This is why we're so drawn to them. Optical calcite comes in a kind of a cuboid shape. You know, you can source it off Amazon. It's not, you can get a little piece for about £2. It's not expensive. Or you can use a quartz point or a smoky quartz point. You know, all of these can be sourced off Amazon or in crystal shops, or shops, you know, the sort of shops that sell crystals, things like that. And these crystals are particularly good at channeling energy. okay, and feelings and emotions. So what you do is you get your crystal, and you get your child, and obviously when you're doing it, you hold it in your left hand, and you stand up, legs slightly apart, just in a kind of warrior position with your arms straight down and the crystal in your left hand pointing towards the earth. And you say to yourself or your child, I want you to feel that negative emotion that you can't let go of. This is really good for if you're stuck with something, that you're just struggling with and you can't seem to shift the way you feel or think about it, and you want to get rid of it. So you think and feel where it is in your body. Where are you feeling that negative or dense emotion or thought? And then you say to them and to yourself, just see that emotion now rising up into your chest, going down your left arm, traveling all the way down into your left hand, into the crystal, and down into the ground away from you. So it's drawing out that negativity and channeling it down into the ground. Okay, now this is something you're going to have to work on. You're going to have to practice, as will your child. The more that you do it, the more you'll gain confidence within it, and you'll start to see how it works and feel that it's working for you. Okay, so again, as I said earlier, teach these techniques to yourself. You'll find that you may only resonate with one or two, and that your child does the same, or you may use all of them and try them all and work with them. Maybe take one a week, work with them over the week. It's absolutely up to you how you do that. But what I would also say is, obviously use them on yourself first, practice them, and then teach your child. But also do not try and teach them when they're angry or not in that good space. I've made that mistake before with my son, and it just does not work. It has to come from them. So just take a moment when they're in a good space, you're having a bit a nice time together, and just say to them, look, I've been working on this and this has really helped me, should we have a little go with it? And then just remind them of it regularly, and then hopefully when they are a bit distressed or struggling with something, they may think to use that or one of these procedures. So it's about making all of these tools available to them. My son went to school for quite a while with a bit of optical calcite in his pocket, and he could just he felt it in there, and he actually did that channeling procedure with his hand in the pocket, and no one knew he was doing it. That was the beauty of it. Okay, now another few things just to shift that focus from the negative to a more positive focus, because that's what we want, right? As well, it's that you may find that your child does have a bit of a negative outlook on life, and I do find that with a lot of children and a lot of adults, we've got to be honest. But there's a few tools that you can use here to just shift that focus. Now the first one is positive affirmation bracelets at the top there. Now obviously these are probably not really in child speak, but you might be able to find some bracelets with some positive statements that your child will understand, or you can just get some sort of beaded bracelet and just say to them, look, this bead represents the fact that you want to keep calm. This second one is the fact that you have lots of good friends, because they might be feeling that they might not have good friends or that they can't keep calm. So you find something, a positive statement to counteract that negative statement that they may have been repeating to themselves, or it would have been something they've been worried about. So just say, well, that bead represents the fact that you have got some really good close friends, this bead, and it just helps to remind you of that fact. This bead is helping you to keep calm, whatever it is. So that it's just about them making that link between what they're trying to achieve and whenever they're thinking negatively about that situation. And whenever they see their bracelet, they might want to just rub it or play with it a little bit, and it just helps them to remind themselves of what they're trying to achieve. Okay, I do a whole workshop on this, so it's not something I can kind of explain really quickly, but I'm just hoping that you're starting to see what I'm trying to get at with these things, and you can absolutely start to support your child in this way. You've got the affirmation pebbles, which are just in that middle picture. So what you could do is get some smooth pebbles, probably from the beach, paint them with poster paint. So you need a bit of PVA glue and paint. Poster paint, just mix it up so it gives that shiny effect. And then you get a metallic pen or a pen that will write over and just put some positive statements, you know, just some things that they're working towards, like, you know, keep calm, keep focused, whatever it is they're trying to achieve. And just put them in their room or somewhere they can see it on a daily basis, just to remind them of what they're trying to achieve. And the last tool, which I absolutely love, I think is really inspired, I've seen these a lot, are what we call gratitude jars. And a lot of my parents that come have already seen them, but I always think it's good to have those little reminders. And this is a brilliant tool for keeping that focus positive. So, you know, I don't know about your children, but when mine come home from school, I've kind of given up asking them how their day went, because I don't really talk about it. But what I do say to them is, what was really good about today? Do you know, what happened that you really loved about today? And it doesn't matter. It could just be that they had their favourite food for lunch, or, you know, someone smiled at them, someone held the door open for them, someone let them play football that doesn't normally, or, you know, just any of those little things, because it doesn't have to be big things. You know, and I always say to my clients, we could be offended 100 times a day if we choose to be, but conversely, we could be really pleased because 100 lovely things have happened to us today. You know, like we saw a little bird, like a robin, feeding from the bird table, or or the sun came out for a few minutes there, or someone made us a cup of tea. You know, any of those things. It's just what you choose to focus on, because ultimately it is up to you. Can't wait for someone to make your day good. You've got to create that. You've got to see it. It's just seeing all those good things. And the gratitude jar really, really helps with this. So what you need is something like a transparent cookie jar or sweet jar, or pasta jar, something like that. Has to be transparent, and little post-it notes or bits of scrap paper. And when your child comes home, you just say, okay, well, what good thing happened today? What lovely little thing happened today? And it could, you know, I've given you plenty of examples. So we write it down, might do a little picture or something, and pop it in the jar. And before long, they start to fill up. And if your child's having a particularly bad day, or, you know, you just from time to time, you might just want to open the jar and start to look at all those good things. And it just helps to remind them, and it just cheers them up, you know, because sometimes it is just one thing that will just totally shift that focus. So I think it's a brilliant tool to use. Okay, so we're coming on to our section 3 now, and this is all about creating a sacred or special space. And when I say sacred, I don't mean religious. This is a very non-denominational workshop. It's probably more spiritual rather than you know, anything else. So what I mean by that is just a special space where your child can go, where they feel safe and comfortable just to be themselves, just to chill out, maybe even do a bit of meditation, because what you're trying to do is encourage them to do these stilling activities. So it's important that they feel safe in this place, and it is their special space, and it's important that they help you to create that space. Now, in those of you that have been to my house, and my friends, they come along and they see all these sacred or special spaces that I've got one in my workshop space. Well, no, actually 3 if I think about it. One in my living room, one on my bedside table. My husband's kind of starting his own, and my two boys have their own in their bedrooms as well. And basically what we've done is we've put crystals, candles, you can use fake candles for younger children, plants with fairy lights wrapped around. Love fairy lights. You know, just pebbles. You can see that at the top, fir cones, anything that, you know, my boys are real collectors. So they're in the habit of collecting things. So anything that's special to them, photos as well. And it just creates this little space that's their own, where they can go, where they feel safe and happy and comfortable, just to chill out. You could add a beanbag, a big floor cushion. They could have relaxing music or dolphin sounds, nature sounds, anything like that. You know, just a space to be. Ideally, it would be in their bedroom if you're doing it for them, and and as I said, it's important that they help you to do that and create that space. Please don't make the mistake, as I was probably doing at the beginning, by, if they've been kind of not really listening to you or whatever, or kicking off, make it a punishment for them to go up there, send them to their room, because it will have a more of a negative connotation for them. And it's not meant to be like that. It's just a suggestion of, look, why don't you go up and listen to some of your music or something, just go and calm down, but just do it in a very non-confrontational way. I know it's really, really difficult in the moment, but what you don't want is for them to have a negative association with that space. So it becomes like a ritual before they meditate, or before they just go and chill out. They light their candle, if they've got little fake ones, they can just switch those on, put on their music, do whatever, and it's, it just becomes a lovely space for them. I've just added down there, you can make some lavender modelling clay with lavender seeds, which is really, really relaxing. Put their mind jar in there, get their books, inspirational books, anything like that. And you can do that if you're a teacher, have somewhere like that in your classroom as well for your children, for your class. Okay. So we're coming to the last part now, which is section 4, additional resources. So as I said at the beginning, I've used a lot of different resources with different kids. I've sourced a lot. I have loads of books at home, more inspirational books that I've used. I always feel that books are such a powerful source and a powerful way to get a point across. Because I think with children, especially younger sort of primary age children, I wouldn't talk to them about energy. Not really, not like I have with you guys. But there are definitely books that will do that in a different way, in a very childlike way for them. So I'll go through the books first of all, and then I've got a couple of tools there that I would highly recommend. I've just picked out my favourite ones here. There are loads and loads that you could use. So with the books, so the first one is Mindfulness Exercises for Kids and Their Parents. And it's by a lady called Eileen, E-L-I-N-E, Snell. And you can find it on Amazon, and it's just a little book. It's more mindful. It's more using mindful techniques, which I kind of tap into, but not all of my techniques are mindful. They are by nature, but it's probably not what you would call specifically mindful techniques totally. But anyway, this book, if you're more drawn to that kind of side of things, then that would be a really good one for you. It comes with a CD, it comes with lots of activities to do with your child, so that's a really nice one to have. The next one along is called Mum and Dad Glue. So obviously by the title, it's an American book. It's by a guy called Kes Gray, K-E-S, and then Gray, which I think is G-R-A-Y. And it's a really poignant, heartfelt book for parents that are going through separation or divorce, and if they're worried that it's impacting on their child, because this is it's just a lovely way that they've thought about this concept, and it's a very positive way of representing it to a child. So if you feel that your child is struggling or impacted by your separation, then this might be one for you. The next one along is an absolute must. I love this book. It's called, I think you can just see the title at the top, Have You Filled a Bucket Today? Have You Filled a Bucket Today? A Guide to Daily Happiness for Kids. I would definitely recommend this. All three of these books can be found on Amazon. They're not expensive. They're just picture books. This particular one, Have You Filled a Bucket Today? Just kind of encapsulates in a very simplistic and beautiful way to children the impact on our thoughts, feelings, words, actions and intent, the impact that those have on ourselves and those around us. And the concept is a very simple one. It's saying that everyone has this invisible bucket that they either fill by positive thoughts and feelings or empty by unhappy thoughts and feelings and not very nice actions to each other. So it's brilliant. You don't have to go into all the energy around it, but I think it's a really, really good starting point for your child. So I definitely recommend that one. And also, when you Google it, it comes with lots of different free online resources as well, like word searches and all sorts. So if you're a teacher or you home ed or anything like that, you can find lots of related resources for children. So brilliant one. The one underneath is the toolbox for anxious kids, and it's a step-by-step guide to conscious parenting and living. Now, this is actually a book that I wrote myself last year. It's an ebook. It's not available on Amazon, but you can get it from myself. And this book goes into a lot more detail about some of the concepts that I've mentioned and many more. At the end of the book, the last chapter is a whole huge chapter on all of the techniques and tools and resources that I've tried and tested with my kids and with children in schools. So if you wanted to kind of deepen your knowledge into anything that I've been talking about, then I'd really, really recommend this book. And it's by me, Zoe Whitehead. I don't think I gave you my surname. And that's the toolbox for anxious kids. Then the two tools towards the right hand side of the page, you can see the photos there. You've got the Guatemalan worry dolls above there in the right hand corner. Now these are brilliant. You may have already come across these. They're like a little bag of like handmade dolls. They're Guatemalan. It's a Guatemalan tradition, and each bag has about 6 dolls, I think, in it. And the idea is that you give that to your child, and your child, if they're worrying about something, they just can't get out of their heads and it's stopping them sleeping, they take a doll out of the bag and they tell each of the dolls a worry. Put the dolls back in the bag, make sure they do, because they might get lost. Put them under the pillow, and the idea is that the dolls take care of the worries, so that by the time that your child wakes up in the morning, the worries have been sorted, and or you're no longer worrying about them, they're no longer worrying about them. It's brilliant. It really helps to settle them. It's a very visual tool. They can even make, I've had children that have made their own. Again, it can be sourced off Amazon. You can have teeny tiny bags with teeny tiny dolls, or you can have big ones. They're a few pounds. They're not expensive, and except from Amazon. And then beneath you have an aromatherapy vaporizer, I believe it's called. I have one at home. These are brilliant. They're instead of the candle, the oil burner with the essential oils. They work in the same way, but they vape. They steam and vaporize rather than smoke. They can be just used as an air freshener, like a natural air freshener, but you basically just need one of those, water and some essential oils. So now essential oils, I don't know how aware or not you are, but they all have different properties and they do different things. So if you want your child, if your child's struggling to get to sleep, and you want to encourage that, then I suggest you get lavender or chamomile, or just blend the two together, essential oil, and you put about 8 to 10 drops of a blend or of one in the water. You screw on the lid, you turn it on, and it will start vaping. Just steam, and all it is vapor, so it's just the steam with the essential oil, so there's absolutely nothing chemical in there whatsoever. And it will smell gorgeous, and it will help your child sleep and relax. So brilliant. But this particular brand, which is called the Kinga brand, Kinga, which can be sourced from Amazon, I think it was 30 and then it was reduced to about 20 when I got it off Amazon. But what's lovely about it, as you can see in the photo, it changes colour. So it goes through the chakra colours, for those of you that are aware of them. So it kind of works as a night light as well for your child. It's a really, really good one to have in their room. So these are just some of my resources that I've tried and tested with many children over the years in different schools, and with my own, and these are some of my favourite ones, the ones that I found most effective. And as I always say to the parents that come and see me, just a few of these are not going to kind of change things overnight for your child, but it will give you the feeling that you're supporting your child in a more kind of unique and stronger way. You know, and the more you work with these tools, the stronger and more supported your child is going to feel and become. Okay, so you know, these are, as I said, these are some of my favourite tools that I've gone through today. So obviously, when you listen to this, you can stop it, you can go over it if the things that you haven't understood, and I'd encourage you to do that. And as I said, you know, practice them on yourselves first of all and get used to them, see how they can work, and then start to teach your child. Maybe take 1 or 2 a day, or take 1 a week, and work with them, you know, when they're in a good space. That's really, really important, is don't try and teach them when they're not in that good space. And if they are upset and angry or whatever they're doing, you know, just remind them in the moment. Just say, oh, maybe try this, maybe try your breathing activity, you know. But and if they don't want to do it, because that's what I hear, you know, I often hear that, and I know for a fact my son is like that, then just leave it. You just put it out there and then leave it. Ultimately, it's up to them. But when they've calmed down, you can maybe remind them of it again. It's about making these tools available to them. So, you know, set up their sacred or special place, and they could have their worry dolls and their books and their relaxation music. They could have their aromatherapy vaporizer that they can put on. You know, there's loads and loads of ways, different ways that they could be supported. Okay, so I'm just going to go through my membership program just to finish off this session with you. So as a parent, and when my son a few years ago was really, really struggling with anxiety, you know, I remember how I felt. I felt really isolated. I felt really alone. I had this kind of way in my mind of how I was going to help him, but you know, I just remember, and also feeling not really unsupported, because obviously my husband was supporting me with it, but pretty helpless when I was watching him struggle. Because, and this is what I hear a lot of clients saying, that there is nothing, you know, you've got CAMS, but there's a huge long waiting list. You know, you've got private counselling, but you know, it doesn't always work, and it's expensive. You know, and schools often are at a loss themselves. You know, I think they do a really, really good job, and they have the best of intentions, but often they are at a loss as to how to help your child. So, and I feel as well, as a family member, if you're supporting another family member who is struggling, you need support as well. You need encouragement. You know, you need to know that you're on the right track, and you're helping your child or that family member in some way. So I came up with my membership program, my online Nurture for Kids membership program, to help provide that ongoing support that's so vital to us. So at the moment it's on special offer, and I'm offering it to you at the moment for £90, just £90 for the whole 12 months. So this is going to work out at just £7.50 a month, which is super, super cheap. This program, what you've got to realise, is normally valued at £180, so £15 a month. But if you go for the whole 12 months and pay up front, you will get it for just £90. Now, this is what you'll get in my membership program. So remember, it's an online program. You're going to get a step-by-step 12-month online training program. So you will be different every month. A different module will be made available to you in the within this training program. You know, so that every month you can take a module, you can work through the different sections and watch the videos and do all the training and work with the different procedures and tools and techniques. And then the next month you'll have another one available to you, and that's, you know, that's how you'll work through it. So this is a really, really detailed step-by-step guide to how to support your child, because this is what we want, right? We don't want just a bunch of tools and techniques. We want ongoing support and a way forwards that kind of builds up, so that, because we want to create that sustainable change. We don't just want that quick fix. So within the membership program, you will also get the exact methods I use to support children, because remember, I've supported children in schools, and I've supported families in private workshops as well. You'll also get the free copy of my ebook. Remember, I mentioned that earlier, the Toolbox for Anxious Kids. Now, this is brilliant because it completely complements the online training program, and it's structured to exactly the way the online training program is. So it will work in the way that it will deepen your understanding, so that you start to understand why the tools and techniques that I'm teaching you work in the way that they do. I'll be introducing other concepts as well that I haven't mentioned in this masterclass. Okay, so you'll get that ebook free. You'll be gifted that within the membership program. Now, this is the part that I find is really, really useful and essential for a lot of clients, for a lot of members. You'll get access to my weekly Q&A sessions. Now, this is invaluable, as I said, because this means that you're going to get access to me every week. So if, for example, you're struggling with something, something's happened at home and you just cannot find a way forward, or there's something in the training program that you simply don't get and you just need more explanation, you can contact me, and in the next session I'll make sure, or next couple of sessions, I'll make sure that I've covered that answer for you. So this is live, and you can connect in and whenever, or hopefully live when the session is going live. So as I said, I find that's really, really invaluable support for a lot of members. Excuse me. Okay, so excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. So also you will get additional access to lots of additional video training. So I've made many videos for not just for children and parents, but for adults as well. And I believe that this training program is as much for children and parents as it is for you as adults, for mums, dads. And as individuals, because we all need help. It's going to sort of really open up your consciousness to new concepts. It's going to sort of shift the way that you perceive life. It's going to help you resolve ongoing situations and just deal with that negative thinking. And there's loads of different videos for you to dip into and watch, which will really, really benefit you and support you in lots of different ways. And last but not least, you'll get access to my private Facebook community. Now, in here, you will get the chance to connect with lots of different parents that are in similar situations to yourself. And I think this again will provide that ongoing support and that connectedness that in that kind of community feel, which I feel is vital. I feel that we all need that, especially when we're struggling and trying to achieve something in a different way. So you'll get access to that. I post regularly with inspirational posts, information that I think will be useful to you. I'll be telling you about the videos, my latest videos, and you can also connect with me in that way, as well as with other parents. So with all of this, what you can do if you decide to go for it is to pay up front for the 12 months. You can within 30 days use it, but at the end of those 30 days, or just before the end of those 30 days, if you feel that it's not for you, I sincerely hope that won't be the case, because I do feel that it's really, really helped a lot of people, a lot of members. But if it is the case, that's absolutely fair enough. There'll be no questions asked. You contact me and you can get your money back, all of your money back, guaranteed, no questions asked. Okay, so that's it. I hope you've enjoyed my online Nurture for Kids membership. Online masterclass. I do beg your pardon. If you are interested in our membership program, then you can just follow the link, click the link, and just fill in your details, and you'll get sent to the order form page where you can just pay, and then, you know, fill in your details again on the forms. Really, really simple, super simple. Pay, and then you'll be directed straight to the membership site. Okay, so that's it for now, guys. Bye.